Hello, and thank you for tuning in to this episode of Animals and Ames. My name is Ron Edwards. I'm the Animal Control Supervisor here for the Ames Animal Shelter and Animal Control Program. Our first guest with us today is Tallulah. Her name is actually bigger than she is. She's a very sweet, short-haired Chihuahua that came into us as a stray. We found that she did have a microchip, however, it was never registered. So the theme of today's show is identification. And we want to make sure that these pets have current identification on so we can get them back to their people. She's a senior Chihuahua. We're estimating probably 9-10 years old would be our best guess. But she's still got a lot of energy left in her. So she came in as a stray on the 10th, and she's going to be available for adoption if the owners don't claim her on Friday, March 17th. So she's not quite available yet. But she's also been here several days, and we haven't had anybody come forward for her yet. And it's just kind of surprising to us that someone wouldn't notice that this beautiful little girl here is missing. So we want to make sure that she gets back to her people, or we're able to find her a new home where she's going to be loved. Make sure that they get that information on the microchip current. And just find a way to get her into a warm home instead of being here at the animal shelter. We provide a nice environment for them, but it's not the same as being home. So we'd like to find Tallulah's people. And if we don't find them, she's going to be available for adoption on Friday, March 17th. So again, she's a Chihuahua, short hair. She is purebred. She is just a little tiny thing here. It's kind of hard maybe to see on the TV. My hands are, I think, bigger than her. But she's a very gentle and sweet dog. Her nails are a little bit long, so we've given them a trim. But appears to be okay. We're going to make sure the vet checks her out and get her spayed if she's not already spayed before she goes to a new home. But again, we are still looking for owners. So if you know who Tallulah's people are, and she may have a different name because we gave her that name, we want to make sure they all have an identity when they're here at the shelter. And Tallulah was a name that fit this one. So if you know who Tallulah is or her people, please get them in touch with us. And if not, again, she'll be available for adoption. So come on down to the shelter and meet Tallulah. And our next dog here is Schooner. Schooner came into us also as a stray on the 10th and will be available for adoption on the 17th. As you can see, he is a young dog here with lots of energy and lots of play in him. So he needs some really good training and needs to learn some manners. Our animal control officer, Melissa, is trying to help keep his attention over there. But he just has a lot of energy. He's a very young dog. We're estimating probably a year or so. I know. He's trying to tell his story there. But he is a very young dog that needs a lot of training. So if you are interested, he is a German short-hair pointer mix, we believe. Came into us as a stray. And as I mentioned earlier, identification. He didn't have any identification, no tags, no microchip, no identification to help us get him back to his people. So we'd love to reunite him with his people. And if not, just as Tallulah, yes, he is going to be available for adoption on Friday, March 17th, if he is not claimed by his people up until then. So again, a sweet dog, just needs a lot of training. If you're interested in this kind of dog and you have that time and commitment to make sure that they get all the training that they need and deserve, come here. He just might be a great dog for you. He's going to be a dog that needs a lot of activity and not going to be a couch potato. So he's going to one that has a lot of energy that he's going to need to get out every day. So he doesn't pull on the leash and make himself do that. See, you'd be a good boy. So if you're interested here in Schooner, come on down to the Ames Animal Shelter. We'd love to introduce you to him. And our next guest here today is Wally. Wally came into us as a stray on March 8th and will be available on Wednesday, March 15th. So that is if the owners don't claim him. And again, our third dog here, and Wally doesn't have identification either. So these are our only 3 dogs here at the shelter. So when we look at animals that have identification, that's 100% of the animals that came here to the shelter that didn't have traceable identification that we can get him back to his people. So it's just so important that we make sure all these animals have current identification. We can get them back to you right away. They're not going to have to stay here at the shelter. And again, we do provide a comfortable environment for them, but it's not the same as a home environment. So we want to get Wally and Tallulah and Schooner back to their owners, but we need your help in doing that. If Wally does go up for adoption, again, just like Schooner, he has a lot of energy. He is a purebred German Shorthair Pointer. And not a breed for everybody. So if you're interested in the breed, we probably ask you to do some research about them and find out just how much energy they have, because they do have a lot of energy. At least Wally does, and Schooner definitely does. So if you're interested, let's see, come over here. Come over here. Can you look this way? There you go. There you go. Oh, that's a good boy. That's a good boy. So again, Wally came into us as a stray. No identification, but a very nice dog. Just needs just as much training as Schooner does. I know. Yes. So they're excited to go back out there and play again in the yard. So if you're interested in meeting any of the 3 dogs that we showed you today, come on down. We'd love to show them to you and see if they may fit into your family. Come here, Schooner. Come here. Well, that's our show for today. As I mentioned, that's just our only 3 dogs that we have here at the Ames Animal Shelter. They're not all available right now, but they will be in the next day or so after the episode is up on our Facebook page and our website. Since the beginning of the year, we've had 84% of our dogs reclaimed and only 39% of our cats reclaimed by their owner. So going back to my initial message at the start of the show was identification. It's so easy to get the microchip implanted going to your local vet hospital. It's fairly inexpensive, but it offers a permanent lifetime registration for your pet. The thing that's so important, you got to remember that if you move, change phone numbers, you got to make sure that information's updated. You can also have secondary contact information on there as well. So if you have an aunt that never moves and never changes her phone number, she'd be a great secondary contact to make sure that we can always return your pets back to you. Again, if you've lost a pet, we want people to be checking our website all the time. It's updated every 15 minutes. So anytime we get an animal here at the shelter, whether it's picked up in the field by an animal control officer or brought into us here by a member of the public, that animal's picture and basic information is on our website within 15 minutes. It's an automated process, and we're very thankful for the system that we have that does that. So keep an eye on our website. Take a look at our Facebook page for other information about the shelter. But most importantly, make sure your pets have identification. By law, dogs and cats have to have a rabies tag on at all times. So if it had that rabies tag on, if any one of those 3 dogs had a tag on them with current information, they would be sitting home right now and not sitting here at the animal shelter waiting to see if their owners are going to come looking for them. So again, it's such a simple process. There's quite a few stores here in town that will allow you to get identification tags for your pets. It's fairly inexpensive, but it can be a lifesaver for your pet. So please consider getting your pet identified right now. If you're sitting here watching the show and your pets are around you, do they have their tags on? Do they have microchips? If not, please get them. The pets need them, and we really want them to have them so we can get them back home with you. Thanks for watching today's show.